Well, hello folks, I'm back after a bit of a hiatus there over the summer. This out apiary, I actually only have 3 colonies that I'm going to be taking that I need to fit skateboards to. This is the out apiary that I sort of did a bit of work on back in the spring. There's still a bit of tidying up to do, but it is what it is in that regard. But I also didn't really populate the apiary over the summer. I had initially planned on putting 10 colonies here altogether. But you can see here today that it's a little bit of a sleepy hollow. There isn't much going on here today, even though ivy is in flow at the moment. The home apiary is absolutely booming. Ivy pollen was coming in over the last couple of days, and that's usually when I kind of time myself to take my supers off anyway. But in previous years I have taken them off earlier, just if there was enough going on and the weather was good. I could take them off as early as the end of July, beginning of August. But this year, the summer was just so bad. The bees had very little. And my whole kind of ethos in terms of my beekeeping is to try not to have to feed the bees sugar syrup. Or any supplement type of a feed. I do feed the nukes, and if there is a colony that obviously that is appearing to be in bad shape, you know, in terms of struggling for food, I certainly will feed that colony. But otherwise it's not, I don't kind of blanket feed, as it were. And I mean, you may have your views on that, but I tend to rely on the ivy flow that comes in at this time of the year for the bees to collect enough nectar to provide them with their winter stores. Now, you might ask then the question, what about treatments? And this is, I suppose, the other thing that I do in my beekeeping. I don't treat, generally speaking. I suppose when I started back beekeeping about 10 years ago, the first year I treated, primarily because that's what I was advised to do, but I had it in my head that I was going to look at alternatives down the line. I was using ApiGuard at the time. I definitely wasn't happy with the way the bees responded to it. It seemed to stress them out, and I lost a number of queens as well. You know, I wasn't really keen on repeating that treatment. Now the following year then I picked certain colonies that I treated and the others I didn't treat. Since then I haven't treated. I mean, I dabbled, I suppose, with some essential oil type treatments and whatever that you could find in the internet. To be honest, I didn't find them of significant benefit. Certainly not enough benefit to kind of warrant going to all the trouble with them. So I suppose you could say I've been the last definitely 8 years not treating colonies. And you know, I'm going to put this out there, but I haven't noticed any kind of substantial increase in my losses. In fact, my losses are quite minimal. You do lose 1 or 2 colonies every year. I'm pretty sure there's not one beekeeper out there, unless you're only keeping 3 or 4 colonies and you're pampering those colonies, you know, there's not one beekeeper that's keeping, you know, 50 odd colonies that doesn't lose 1 or 2 colonies a year. So, you know, that's just the reality of beekeeping. But for me, I don't notice any kind of substantial loss on my bees. My bees still produce me plenty of honey. My colonies still build up quite large. I still have enough bees to make splits. I do everything that any beekeeper seems to do, except I just don't treat my bees. So yeah, it's I'm sure I'm going to come under a little bit of criticism here, and by all means, if you want to put your criticisms in the comments, you know, this is an open forum. I'm happy to you know, read any comments and respond, I suppose, if that's what you want. But that's the way I do it. And I mean, you've seen my videos earlier on in the year. You know, my colonies are strong and, you know, are healthy. Certainly in my opinion anyway. The plan is today to just get the skateboards on these ones, and then I have another out apiary to go to get the skateboards on. That's actually the apiary that I populated, the colonies that I had intended on putting here to populate here. I suppose historically I keep my bees here because I just like to keep them here, but this apiary hasn't performed that well. I suppose maybe in the last 4 or 5 years it's kind of been a bit of a dud. But I did do the bit of work here, thinning out some of the trees that are surrounding the apiary, and that seems to have made a difference during the height of the summer. But again, we're just coming up here today, and in comparison to the home apiary where it's absolutely booming with bees, you know, this is very much a sleepy hollow. Yeah, so the other out apiary I have to go to then is where it has performed very well last year and the year before, so I decided to put a few extra colonies there this year. And just what has been happening since I last put videos up, as I said, the summer was terrible. I actually kind of got a bit fed up trying to scramble, you know, against the weather and actually get the work done. You know, I work, you know, beekeeping isn't my full-time operation by any means. So I suppose, you know, my time is limited. I have a young family. My time is limited to actually, you know, and I have to be focused when I'm doing the beekeeping. So I suppose that took precedence then over making the actual videos, especially when, you know, no sooner would I go out than it would start raining. So, you know, I'd be scrambling then to get my gear and the camera gear especially, you know, and making sure basically that the bees were sealed up tight if it was going to rain down on top of them, but at the same time trying to get the jobs done. So I made, definitely I'd say I made more splits this year than I have ever made before. I made only back there in towards the end of July I made another 40 splits. I've had 1 or 2 of those kind of not work out, but by and large they seem to be so far anyway going well. Won't be really able to judge them until I suppose October, but by that stage I'm not actually going to be going through them, so it's more a case of seeing what survives the winter at that stage. Some of my queens I reared earlier on in the season started off very well. Well, I had some kind of non-returns, and then I had others that were doing very well, but then kind of dwindled or turned into drone layers sort of by the end of July time. So that was a bit of a disaster, but you'll have that, and we just move on. And as I said, I made another 40 splits then kind of towards the end of July there, beginning of August. So I'm more than covered in terms of replacements or any losses, and certainly for colony growth, for production colony growth next year. So that's the plan. Anyway, I'm going to crack on now with these escape boards. I might get to show you what's in some of these colonies. They didn't perform very well. This one here, actually, I only took a split off this one here in the beginning of August. It was a booming colony. There was 2 extra boxes on top of it, full of bees, but the top 2 boxes were bone dry, although it was full of bees. When I took the splits off, obviously those 2 boxes emptied, and then funny enough, wasps. I haven't been here in maybe a fortnight looking at these colonies, and wasps must have targeted that colony, and you can see there's a lot of bees outside the entrance there, and a lot of dead wasps as well. So there was, for some reason, they decided to target that particular colony. So I narrowed the entrance down. Bees seem to have recovered, and the wasps seem to have abandoned their attempts now to get in, but they're there working. But I'm sure it has kind of damaged both the morale and the population of the colony, what must have went on here. Anyway, I'm going to crack on, as I said, with taking my splits off. First, I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee, and I have another 1 or 2 jobs just to do here before I actually get cracking on these colonies. So see you in a few minutes, where I'll show you what's in the boxes, what we can expect from this apiary honey wise, and just putting the escape boards on. So just to give you a little bit of information about this colony, this is a swarm that I caught back in, I suppose it was mid-July when I caught it. I was called by a neighbour up the road who said there was a swarm of bees, that they'd come across a swarm of bees in an apple tree on their lawn, and just would I come up and collect it. The natural assumption was, of course, by that neighbour that they were mine, but when I came up to the site, first of all, I knew that any colonies that I had in the area hadn't actually swarmed. So, and it was funny because I'd actually only checked them earlier that day myself, my own colonies. But also when I got up to these ones, it looked like they'd been there for possibly 3 to 4 days, maybe even a week. But it was during a particularly bad spell in July where it rained continuously, apart from this particular day that had been called up to collect them, where it had rained, I suppose, continuously for the previous week anyway. So these bees obviously swarmed maybe when there was a little break in the weather, and then got caught out on the tree they were on. And it looked like it had been a decent sized swarm originally, but sadly by the time I got up it was very small, and in fact I didn't think it was going to make it. But I had a nuke box, a 14 by 12, I had a couple of 14 by 12 drawn combs with food on them, and I had a spare nuke box. So I said, look, I found the queen, let's give it a go and see how they fare out. So I left them be maybe for about a fortnight after hiving them, just to see, or just to kind of let them settle in. And then I checked them, and sure enough, the queen was laying. So they've kind of been tipping along. They're a nasty little colony now, I have to say. Anytime I've opened them, they have a good go at me. But they're there, and sure, I never turn away bees. Certainly never turn away homing a few colonies of bees. But yeah, they sort of showed signs that they were developing well back during August, but they've sort of dwindled a little bit now. But but hopefully with the ivy flow they kind of build back up a bit. I might take a dig inside them just to see what's going on today while I'm here. Yeah, so I'm going to go over now and show you what's in some of these honey boxes. Just when I was introducing the video here today, I pointed out this colony and I said this is one that I took split off back in the first week in August. This was an exceptionally strong colony here in this site, because the rest of them, they're not huge colonies by any stretch of the imagination, but this one was doing well. I took a split off it, and since that, as I've said, I came across evidence on the ground here where there was a lot of scrapping going on between this hive and wasps. And I was here 2 or 3 days ago and the colony looked desperate altogether, and there was wasps actually freely gaining access in through the entrance. So I narrowed down the entrance a little bit, but they seem to be in full swing now. I suppose the ivy flow is on, so they're taking advantage of that. But I know that these 3 boxes here are pretty full, so because I know that, I'm going to show you inside these ones first, and obviously the others will be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm fairly sure there's a colony over there. The top box is definitely empty, but I see bees up in it now, which, they're possibly starting to put ivy nectar up there, and that one over there possibly has, I'd say the top 4 are probably, there's something in them anyway, so we'll see how we go. One of the keys to a good day at the apiary is to make sure that your smoker is going well. I've let this sit now for a little bit while setting everything off, and it has died off a little bit, but we'll get it going here. I find that at this time of the year as well, it's also easier taking supers off. Just when you crack open the hives, there isn't a mad rush on the bees. They don't go mad because they smell nectar or honey. There isn't that. It doesn't create that kind of robbing vibe about the place, because they're otherwise preoccupied bringing in nectar. There's nectar coming into the hives, so there isn't that kind of searching kind of thing going on. That's the new rhombus board. I got these from, normally I'd make them up myself, but this year I decided to get a few of them. I got them from Dingle Bee Supplies. I should have them painted, certainly on the outside, the exposed bit, but they're only out for a day or two. So you can see here, this is the third box. There are bees up there. Not too many, mind. And this box largely looks empty, but the middle frames have something on them. And there's a little bit of weight there. See if I can get a frame out to show you. Well glued down. So it's certainly not show quality, but you know, there's a bit there. There's a little bit of uncapped here, but I know that it's relatively safe. There's nothing shaking out when I'm shaking out that frame. It's just unfortunate that the bees didn't get to fill that, but if I don't take it out now, bees are going to fill up what remains in those cells with ivy honey, and well, that's going to just taint my crop. So I want to get it off now. Now this colony has significantly dwindled since I took that split off. So now you have to remember as well, this time of year there's a natural downsizing in colonies. But also I took, I suppose, a good lot of hatching brood, so you know, it wouldn't have replaced. Now there again, you see, so that's nothing to be writing home about, as they say, but it's all uncapped there. But again, if I shake it out, there's no nectar coming out, so this is dense enough. I'll do a check on it at home before I extract it, but I segregate all my honey anyway between the different apiaries, so I know that if this apiary is largely uncapped honey, it's honey that I want to be doubly sure before I extract it that it's the right moisture content. Where you have the odd frame or two uncapped, that's not a big deal, but you know, across the tops here, this one here actually looks sort of full, but again, it's a little disappointing when you go to take them out and you realise, you know, it's nowhere near full. It's but it is what it is, and that's what I said. This site this year hasn't exactly performed very well. Last year it didn't, you know, it performed all right, but I probably didn't have enough colonies on it. But yeah, now we just want to make sure our queen isn't on the queen excluder. Sometimes these queen excluders come up with the super, not ideal, especially if the queen is on it, but again, it's just, I prefer to use the wire queen excluders, and that is why I prefer to use them, because at least I know that they're going to stay rigid, whereas the plastic ones tend to buckle, and that's not great. Now I put in some, I can see here that I put in some foundation with some drawn comb. I can see they've drawn some of that foundation a little bit, and then they've dwindled off, and that's obviously just a natural kind of die off of the bees, the older bees. And obviously because I took out a lot of hatching brood, it has created what appears to be a significant amount of dwindle. But I'll just make a double check now, because there should be brood coming on stream, hatching. So the bees are back filling this space here with nectar. You can see there, nice and shiny with the ivy nectar. I don't know if you can see it shining in the sun. But that's what we want to see. But I'm going to move these frames around a little bit and kind of centralize the nest a bit more. Now, at this time of the year, I don't like doing too much digging into the colony. It's just this one. I just want to double check that there is a queen here that's laying, because actually when I see wasps targeting a colony, it's for a little bit more than simply just a colony that has weakened significantly. So if I'm being honest, I'm a little bit concerned about it, to see that it was targeted by wasps to the extent it was. And oftentimes it can be a sign that the queen, which she might have when I was splitting them, got damaged in the process. Or indeed that because I took a split off and put foundation in, that the queen and the bees decided to abscond for whatever reason. So they drew that foundation there, that's good. But no sign of any queen laying eggs. So we brood in this frame here. And no eggs, but it's all capped brood. No eggs there. So that is a little bit worrying. Nice frame of capped brood there. You can see it's starting to hatch. It's a nice frame for this time of the year. There's no sign of any like emergency queen cells haven't been drawn or anything like that, which is what you'd normally see. I know there's larvae and eggs there. That's fine. So this queen took a little bit of a holiday, it seems. Let's see if I can see her now. There's larvae and eggs here, so she's likely on this frame or the next, which is the very last. But that is the effect that splitting your colonies can have, So don't be, I suppose, as I said, I was a bit concerned, but it's always good to double check. But at the same time, it is kind of normal enough. There's a full frame of brood, capped brood. On this side, and there's our ladyship. So I'll just see if I can show you this queen now. It's not essential that you see her. You've seen plenty of queens during the course of my videos. But she was there now, but she's decided to go hiding. Now that I've seen her and can't see her, I'd like to see her again. But I don't want to keep the hive open too long. There's a nice strange coloured pollen there at the bottom corner. I don't know if you can see that, but it's sort of got a purple colour to it. If anybody knows what that might be from, because I'm not too familiar with seeing it. Ah, there she is. She's here. So she's looking, a bit small for this. You might say for a queen, but it is September, and queens naturally reduce their lay at this time of the year, so they don't be fed excessively by the bees, and they slim down a bit. When they come back into lay, full lay next year, I'm just going to swap this frame here. Now this is actually, it's a lot of, well, there's a bit of drone brood on it. It should be okay. You will see the bees will feed her back up, and she'll grow. Yeah. So if I centralize the nest a bit better here for them, because you can see that they're going over to one side in the box, and wax moth starting to creep in already. I have another colony actually in the home site that dwindled a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And wax moth got in one side of or end of the hive. Like that, they were kind of moving to one side of the box as opposed to centralizing, and the wax moth got in, and destroyed a couple of frames. Now, so this is ready for our rhombus board. Now what I tend to do is I tend to put the queen excluder on, and then the rhombus board. And you might say, why do you do that? Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But I'm always afraid. I've often obviously come to collect these boards, and you'll see a collection of bees, on them, and sometimes the bees are starting to work their way back up through. Now only one or two at a time, but I have this fear that a queen could go back up, and if that happens, your supers won't empty anyway, that's for sure. And also you'll have a job trying to locate your queen. I'm just coming into the shade here for a second. Would you believe both my camera setups overheated. We're getting direct sun here into this little apiary site now, and as I said, both of the cameras overheated as I was filming, so I didn't actually I was cut off midway through with this particular one, looking down onto the colony, and that one was looking in towards the front entrance, and it kept going for another while before it eventually shut off. So when I'm editing this back, I'll see what's shown and what's not, but just to say that I have stacked the supers up onto the rhombus board. So you can see the rhombus board here, and it's just important that you make sure the gaps are sealed off. On these Paradise Honey ones, they don't sit directly over the rhombus boards that I use, or the escape boards that I use, but they do rest on top of it. But sometimes if they're not exactly squared off properly, they will leave a gap that the bees can get in and out of. And what you'll see first is the bees that are in the supers will start coming out of the gaps, but eventually obviously it'll go the other way when they realize that there's boxes up here with no bees, so that the honey isn't guarded. So so just be aware of that, obviously, if you are using these particular Paradise Honey boxes. As you can see, the crop wasn't very exciting in this particular colony. There's 3 boxes there. There is capped honey in all 3 boxes, but unfortunately it looks like none of the frames are actually full, and that's just the kind of running theme in 2 of my sites anyway. This particular one and the home apiary, which normally these would perform reasonably well, but just this year they didn't. The other site that I have with production colonies on it, they have filled practically. There's 2 of them, or there's possibly 4 of them there, I think, that have filled about 7 boxes, and there's others then that I moved there. They didn't quite get the same run at it, but they have done very well, and they filled 3 or so boxes each. So that's what it is. It's just the year that was in it. No use in crying over it. We'll just get on, we'll make the best of what we have. Luckily, I suppose I have surplus honey from last year, and in fact even some left over from the previous year, so that's why I don't offload my honey. I try to hang on to it. I just then sell it myself, so that's how I operate. So you can see here now the wasps are going crazy at this area already, and they're here, they're attacking some of the bees that are on the ground. I'll just show you that. You know, they're kind of fighting here. I don't know if you can see them. I can't probably get up close enough, but yeah, they're a real scourge this year, the wasps, unfortunately, especially because the resources, I suppose, are minimal enough this year. Now I've noticed a slight reduction in the wasps since the ivy started flowing, which was, again, I think just over the weekend really it started proper. Well, I have to show you this colony. So the very top box was 3, 4, 5. There was 5 supers. There's 5 supers on this colony, and the top box, there's not much in it. I haven't actually looked in it as such. I have the cover on, but I can feel that there's nothing in it, and if there is anything in it, it's nectar. The second box down has something in it. It's capped, some capped stuff. In fact, there's capped across all the frames, and that's a commercial super. And then this one, again, commercial super. This will just show you colony in the same apiary. that's nice. And there's a few frames like that, and there's a nice bit of weight in it. So this colony is going to get a green pin. It hasn't already got one. Kind of has. This colony is the queen in this colony. Actually, her mother I had tipped last year to be a breeder queen. But then I discovered the queen that's in this box now. I discovered her up in the supers, where I had done a demo, and obviously I must have missed a queen cell or whatever. And she was up in the supers laying away, and so I decided to switch her down into the lower box, pull out the mother queen, and bring her off to another nuke. She got off to a slow start this year in the nuke, but she's after filling 3 boxes of honey for me, and possibly actually 4 now that I think of it. But this lassie just kept mounting the boxes on, and you know, she's filled. This is the 3rd box. I don't know what the next 2 down are like, but one can assume that, you know, this is reasonably full, that the next 2 down are full as well. Although the one nearest the brood chamber is always the one to kind of get emptied first if the bees are struggling a bit for food sources. So yeah, it's not all bad news, as to say. Well folks, so there it is, and that's it for today. I have the skateboards on these 3 colonies. Obviously that took me a little longer to do, just between setting up the videos and so on. I'm going to go to the next apiary, and I have 7 hives to do there. Yeah, I'm probably not going to video any of that, but you just saw a quick snippet there of just putting on the skateboards onto the colonies, and I suppose what we're expecting this year in terms of a honey crop, which as you can see is going to be very small this year. Anyway, the next video I hope to get out is going to be extracting. This video is probably going to be a little bit more, this particular one is going to be a bit more vloggy style, as opposed to kind of the usual introductions and bit of sort of additional b-roll that I put in, if you'd call it b-roll. We'll try and get back into that kind of mode over the next couple of days, and I'll get you out a video on the extraction process. And kind of that's really it, signing off for the winter then. Now I'm going to try and keep up this video crack, and put out videos on maybe some interesting topics or whatever that people might like to discuss or to have discussed in a video. But as regards bee work, that's kind of it for now. I will be going out checking the colonies every once in a while, and I probably will video that just, you know, after the honey crop comes off. Obviously, as kind of in a week's time or 2 weeks time, I'm going to go around and start to heft colonies just to make sure that they're building up those stores on the ivy flow. So we'll see you in the next one, alright, and thanks for watching, and thanks to all my subscribers, and thanks to my subscribers that have stuck around. Obviously I haven't put out videos for the last number of weeks, but anyway, we're back in action, and hopefully I'll keep it up now, and I haven't lost momentum totally. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already done so, I suppose like and subscribe and all of that if you come across this video and you enjoy it, and look out for the next one, and that's going to be the extraction process. Okay, bye for now.